Benjamin Netanyahu has delivered a stern, harsh warning to civilians in Lebanon. This is not something that he said private. This is something that was said publicly. And I want you to hear his speech first, and then we're going to get into the response from the State Department about this warning that is coming from Benjamin Netanyahu. I don't understand how this man is not thrown under the jail. Let's get in here.
This is a message to the people of Lebanon. Do you remember when your country was called the Pearl of the Middle East? I do. So what happened to Lebanon? A gang of tyrants and terrorists destroyed it. That's what happened. Lebanon was once known for its tolerance, for its beauty. Today, it's a place of chaos, a place of war. Israel withdrew from Lebanon 25 years ago, but the country that actually conquered Lebanon is not Israel, it's Iran. Iran, which finances and arms Hezbollah to serve Iran's interests at Lebanon's expense.
We're going to go ahead and pause there. I'm only 37 seconds in and he's already lying. So obviously, I think if you've been paying attention, we all should know this. But the reality is that Israel does occupy a part of Lebanon. So Ronnie Akalik explained this effortlessly during our interview, which was that the reason why you have Hezbollah is because Israel occupied a part of Lebanon. The reason why you have Hamas is because Israel occupied Gaza. So the people who are born through that occupation and they see their family members, slaughtered in front of them, those people have found a way to resist, a way to fight back. And so people need to understand also that Hezbollah in particular is a part of the political, apparatus in Lebanon. So it's not like these are just activists, like they were elected by the people. Let's continue.
Hezbollah has turned Lebanon into a stockpile of ammunition and weapons and a forward Iranian military base. Just one day after the October 7th massacre a year ago, Hezbollah joined the war against Israel. It launched an unprovoked attack on our cities and on our citizens. It has since fired over 8,000 missiles at Israel, killing civilians without distinctions, Jews, Christians, Muslims, and Druze. Israel has decided to put an end to this. We've decided to do whatever is necessary to return our people safely to their homes. Israel has a right to defend itself. Israel also has a right to win, and Israel will win. We've degraded Hezbollah's capabilities. We took out thousands of terrorists, including Nasrallah himself, and Nasrallah's replacement, and the replacement of his replacement.
Let me go ahead and interrupt here. So we're at 126. I want to just make a correction. You took out thousands of civilians. So what Israel has managed and continued to do was to refer to civilians as terrorists, right? Because then that way they can say they haven't really killed any civilians. This is why when you hear them make this statement that they're all Hamas or they're all Hezbollah, they say that as an excuse so that they can kill everyone.
Today, Hezbollah is weaker than it's been for many, many years. Now you, the Lebanese people, you stand at a significant crossroads. It is your choice. You can now take back your country. You can return it to a path of peace and prosperity. If you don't, Hezbollah will continue to try to fight Israel from densely populated areas at your expense.
Did you hear that? So this is Netanyahu telling the civilians in Lebanon that if they don't stand up and fight back against Hezbollah, then they will continue to attack people in Lebanon. So he is asking the civilians, again, this is insane. He's asking the civilians to stand up and fight against the people that they elected. This is why he said at your expense. So this is a threat from Benjamin Netanyahu to the civilians in Lebanon. How is this allowed?
It doesn't care if Lebanon is dragged into a wider war. Christians, Druze, Muslims, Sunnis, and Shiites, all of you are suffering because of Hezbollah's futile war against Israel. Today, I ask every mother and every father in Lebanon a simple question. Is it worth it? Because it doesn't have to be that way. I know you want a better future for your children. So I'm speaking to all of you today. There is a better way for your children, for your cities, for your villages, for your country. You deserve to restore Lebanon to its days of tranquility. You deserve a Lebanon that is different. One country, one flag, one people.
Lebanon would never have even had this statement from him where he says that you deserve a Lebanon that is different. First of all, had Israel not occupied part of Lebanon, they wouldn't even be in this situation. This is what people have to understand. So, of course, he wants to leave himself out of that. He doesn't want to mention what Israel did. Netanyahu's goal is to make it seem like Israel was just minding its own business. And then one day this radical group of people just rose up and decided to start attacking Israel. That's not how it happened. Israel decided to occupy part of Lebanon, similarly to how they decided to occupy Gaza. And don't forget about the West Bank as well. Now, pretend the occupation never happened. Do you still get a Hezbollah? No, you don't. So for him to not even mention, and again, that's his job. His job is to make it seem like Israel is the forever victim. Forever victim. And anybody who is criticizing Israel or trying to fight back against them after they've been occupied, they're the enemy. They're the people that are the problem, not the occupation. Netanyahu wants you to believe that Israel occupied Lebanon after Hezbollah because of Hezbollah. Oh, these people are dangerous, so we got to occupy part of this. No, the occupation existed first.
Don't let these terrorists destroy your future any more than they've already done. Stand up and take your country back. You have an opportunity that hasn't existed in decades. An opportunity to take care of the future of your children and grandchildren. You have an opportunity to save Lebanon before it falls into the abyss of a long war that will lead to destruction and suffering like we see in Gaza. It doesn't have to be that way. Each of you can take a step for your future, even a small step. You can make a difference. I say to you, the people of Lebanon, free your country from Hezbollah so that this war can end. Free your country from Hezbollah so that your country could prosper again, so that future generations of Lebanese and Israeli children will know neither war nor bloodshed, but will finally live together in peace.
This is a message to such an occupier's message, to make it seem like they're not the one that is in power, and to make it seem like all of the trouble that Lebanon has is because of Hezbollah, is because of their resistance. And you have to pay attention to the rhetoric. And I want to point out this from JB as well. I think this is important. JB says, Sabs, if this was a message for Lebanon, Netanyahu would be speaking Arabic. This is for the West. This is Bibi trying to manufacture consent of Americans. And that is a good point. You guys notice sometimes he will speak in Hebrew, and other times he will speak in English. So that tells you, like, who is he really trying to speak to? Now, Ryan Grimm did confront the State Department. A shout out to Asal Rod, because she's been killing it with this. Ryan Grimm approaches the State Department about the video that I just showed you. And it says here, Netanyahu's video to the people of Lebanon seems like blanket threat against civilian population. So let's go ahead and get into this conversation here. Of course, Matt Miller is up at the podium again. Listen to what Ryan Grimm says.
You said earlier that Israel has a right to attack Hezbollah as a terrorist organization. I wanted to ask if you had seen the Israeli Prime Minister's video that he put out in English to the people of Lebanon last night. He had a couple lines in there. He said, "You have an opportunity to save Lebanon before it falls into the abyss of a long war that will lead to destruction and suffering like we see in Gaza. I say to you, the people of Lebanon, free your country from Hezbollah so that this war can end." That seems like a blanket threat against the civilian population. Is that terrorism?
So, first of all, let me say we cannot and must not see the situation in Lebanon turn into anything like the situation in Gaza.
That statement right there from Matt Miller, when he said that we can't see Lebanon turn into the situation in Gaza. That is the State Department saying the quiet part out loud. They are acknowledging that what happened in Gaza was wrong. Now, you've never heard them say that. Every time they've been confronted about what Israel has been doing in Gaza, every time the response is either, well, we'll have to investigate that. Israel will have to investigate theirself. Or my favorite response is this one. Oh, we haven't heard about that. We don't know anything about that. As if these people don't know that social media exists. They know about it. They know about these things prior to these press conferences. Now, to that point, Matt Miller is acknowledging that what happened in Gaza was wrong. If Matt Miller acknowledges that what happened in Gaza was wrong, Matt Miller is also letting you know that the U.S. government should not be giving them the weapons. So this is very important, you guys. You got to pay attention to the things they say. And I don't know if he intended to say that or not, or if he realized what that really meant. But he's letting you know that what happened in Gaza was wrong. So if you know that what happened in Gaza was wrong, why have you continued to defend Israel every time people have mentioned the death toll and the real one, not the 41,000, because we know it's more than that based on the math of the bombs and the density of the area. Whenever people have mentioned the humanitarian aid workers that have been attacked, Israel not allowing aid to come into Gaza, food and supplies, the rhetoric that has come from the IDF that's on video, every time Matt Miller, John Kirby, and that other dude whose name I can't remember, every time they would defend Israel. Now you hear them say, well, no, we cannot let what happened in Gaza happen in Lebanon. So they know it was wrong.
That would, of course, not be acceptable.
Not be acceptable. Not be acceptable, ladies and gentlemen. He said that, of course, that would not be acceptable. So you, in turn, Matt Miller, at every chance that you had, you defended what the U.S. government was doing by aiding Israel, by giving them the weapons. You are saying that it's not acceptable, but the U.S. government is still supplying the weapons. I hope everybody really takes this to heart because they're still funding it. Just because Israel started attacking Lebanon doesn't mean they stopped attacking people in Gaza. People in Gaza are still dying. So if you know it's not acceptable and you know what Israel has done is wrong, what happened in Gaza is wrong, why are you defending the U.S. government's role? Why are you defending the U.S. government giving Israel the weapons? These people, they're masked, like these people have been so exposed.
It is as I said in response to an earlier question, it is up to the Lebanese people, not anybody else, to decide on who their government is. I said in response to another question, no country in the region should dictate to the Lebanese people who their leaders are.
So no country in the region should dictate to the Lebanese people who their leaders are. The United States, though, has done this with multiple countries. The United States has implemented regime change across the world. The United States, how many times have they decided to determine who a leader of a country should be, whether it's Haiti, whether it's Iraq? How many times have they done this? Whether it's Libya? Do you see? They are fully exposed, ladies and gentlemen. Fully exposing themselves. So my pushback would be, if I were in that room, my pushback would be, isn't that what the U.S. government does? Now, you don't always get the opportunity to do that because I've seen him jump to other people when you try to respond back.
Not Israel, not the United States, not any of the other countries in the region, and that should continue.
But Israel is dictating
to be the case. No, they're conducting operations going after a terrorist organization. That's a different thing than dictating what the civilian government should be. That's a question for the Lebanese people to decide.
Let me interrupt. Hezbollah is elected by the people. So Matt Miller, you know you done messed up, right? You know you done messed up. You know you got yourself in trouble here. Because Hezbollah was elected by the people. It's a political organization. So when you say that Israel should not dictate, no, they're not dictating and telling them who their leader should be. Yes, they are. I just played you the video, the speech from Netanyahu, which I know that he has seen. They're not stupid. These people know what's going on, and they're all in on it.
So,
but if they decide against Israel's wishes, Israel is threatening Gaza-like annihilation of the people of Lebanon.
Yep.
and I'm making very clear that there should be no kind of military action in Lebanon that looks anything like Gaza and leaves a result anything like Gaza.
So you know he done messed up, right? You know Matt Miller has messed up. You look really bad there, Matt. You look really bad. You guys have been exposed. Like seriously, I can't even. So good question there from Ryan Grimm, because that just really shows people what is going on. Now, Asal Rod also mentioned this, and I think this is really good for people to see too. Let me go ahead and share this. This is from Simon D. Lewis. Whether you like it or not, Hezbollah is part of the Lebanese political landscape. The Israelis are trying to change that through force, and you're supporting it. This is very different than calling for restraint. Let's get to this clip here. Also, State Department press conference.
Right, but whether you like it or not, Hezbollah is part of the Lebanese political landscape, right? So what the Israelis are doing is trying to change that landscape through force, and you're supporting that. So This seems to be a very different approach to calling for restraint, trying to get everyone on board with diplomatic agreements. In the last 2 weeks, we've gone from that to, maybe we could change the government of Lebanon through a ground invasion.
So we have always made clear that we think a terrorist organization should play no role in the government of any country. And especially.
So here we go. So first you said that it was a terrorist organization, and Simon is letting you know, but they are a part of the political landscape. So first, Matt, so you got some explaining to do, Matt Miller, because at first you didn't even want to admit that it was a part of it was a political, organization. So Simon had to call you out on it. And now he comes in to say, well, we never want terrorists to be a part of a political organization. So wait a minute. Who's we? Who's we, Matt? Who are you speaking for? What do you mean by we? Because Benjamin Netanyahu, in his video, he said that to the people, you need to stand up against Hezbollah. So we know that Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't want Hezbollah to be a part of that political organization. But now you're saying we. So we is more than one. So that means that the U.S. government, also doesn't want that to be a part of the political organization, which means both the U.S. government and Israel are in total agreement with what is happening. We, he said,
play no role in the government of any country, and especially a terrorist organization that has shown over decades that it is willing to use force and threaten force against the Lebanese people to accomplish its aims.
Doesn't this sound familiar? Use force and threaten their own people. Isn't this the same thing they said about Gaddafi? And the U.S. government used Gaddafi as an excuse to drone and kill all those people in Libya? That was under Barack Obama's administration. That was his excuse to. Barack Obama dropped so many damn drones. He dropped more than George W. Bush. You believe that? So do you see how this works? This is the excuse they use. They don't like the organization that's in power, so then they'll tell you that it's a terrorist organization, even though the people elected. Then they'll go on to tell you that those leaders are attacking and killing their own people, and that gives the U.S. government an excuse to go after them or to send somebody else after them, like Israel. This is an old game that they've been playing for quite some time.
Against the Lebanese people to accomplish its aims and to hold the people of Lebanon hostage. That is not a new position of the United States. That has been our position going back decades. It will always be our position that Hezbollah.
Pause. Holding the Lebanese people hostage. How are they holding the Lebanese people hostage when Israel occupies part of the land? So the country that's actually holding the Lebanese people hostage is Israel. Israel is occupying part of the land, so they're the ones that are holding people hostage. But do you see, this is how the US government comes in and supports supremacy. And they do it in a sneaky way. They make you believe that the resistance organization, that they're the ones that are the problem because they're hurting their own people. So this is where they come in with the, we got to protect the women and the children defense. Oh, you've heard it before. Isn't that what they said about Afghanistan? How many people fell for that? How is Afghanistan today? This is how the US government backs supremacy. And no, of course, they're not standing up on stage with like Klan hoods or anything like that. They do it in a more sneakier way. So they're totally okay with Israel occupying people and land in Lebanon, but they're not okay with people in Lebanon trying to resist against the occupation. Then they turn around and they tell you that Hezbollah is the one who's holding the people hostage. They make the oppressed sound like the people in power.
Should not be able to, or should not be allowed to use force against the Lebanese people to accomplish political aims. That hasn't changed. It's not going to change.
And now these sort of broader aims raises a question. What you've come out in support of is limited, I guess, short-term incursions. You won't say how short-term, but how long can this operation continue with the goal of basically ridding Lebanese politics of Hezbollah?
So we are in conversation with the Israeli government about exactly those questions. The goal that Israel is trying to accomplish is to push them back, away from the border. I think it's a separate. What's that?
I mean, is that the goal? They seem to have that goal and other goals.
That is their goal. I will say it is our goal to ultimately see the Lebanese people elect their own political representatives. When it comes to Israel's military goals, I'm not going to make any forecasts. We're going to continue to have conversations with them about it.
So he says that his goal is to make sure the Lebanese people can elect their own people. So let me tell you how stupid he is, right? So Rania Khaled comes in and she says, she's quoting him, "I would say it's our goal to see Lebanese people elect their own representatives." Rania goes on to say, Lebanese people did elect their own representatives, and a large number of them elected Hezbollah and its allies. That is why they formed the largest political bloc in the country. The U.S. is trying to overthrow democracy, not install it. So does everybody understand what's happening here? So Matt Miller just lied at the State Department press conference by telling people that they want people in Lebanon to elect their own leaders. That is a lie. People in Lebanon do elect their own leaders. Rania would know, she lives in Lebanon. And this is the danger with corporate media. And this is what I've said over and over again, because for the people who do watch those press conferences, and some people do, if that is all that they're watching, it's very easy to sit back there and to watch that and believe it. If you don't know anything about the history, if you're not watching any other media, more so independent media, if you're not watching media that is not a puppet and a mouthpiece for the State Department, it is very easy to believe what Matt Miller just said. This is why independent media is so incredibly important. Now, Rania Khaled was not in that room, but imagine if Rania Khaled was in that room during that press conference. She is a Lebanese American who lives in Lebanon, and she would have been able to effectively push back on that and say, excuse me, I live in Lebanon and we do elect our own leaders. This is why corporate media is sinking. And this is why you're starting to see more people that were a part of corporate media branch out and kind of do their own thing, because the ratings just ain't there, boo. The ratings just aren't there. Haven't been since Trump in 2016. They have continued to sink and sink. And that is because people are not buying the lies anymore. So the State Department, of course, is corrupt and they're liars. And as he told you, they had no other goal. If they had no other goal, what is this? In a documentary produced by Arte, Israeli Finance Minister Smotrich says he wants a Jewish state. Now, listen to what he wants the state to look like. This is the English version, so I'll read the text along with you. He says, I want a Jewish state.
אני רוצה מדינה יהודית.
שזה אומר מה?
מדינה יהודית. זה נורא נורא מורכב.
Very complicated. It is a state that operates according to the
זה מדינה
value
שמתנהגת לפי עולם הערכים של העם היהודי.
הריבונות של
of the Jewish people. She goes on to say the sovereignty of the state of
ישראל
Israel
מתחילה בים ונגמרת בנהר.
starts at the sea. Is that all at this stage?
בשלב הזה, או שבעצם אנחנו גם יוצאים את עבר הירדן?
Or do we want more beyond the river in the next stage? This is the part that is incredibly important.
בשלב הבא.
בסדר, לאט לאט. כתוב בחז"ל שעתידה ישראל,
It is written that the future of
עתידה
Jerusalem
ירושלים להתרחב עד דמשק.
is to expand to Damascus.
זאת אומרת, אנחנו...
רק ירושלים,
Only Jerusalem until Damascus.
עד דמשק.
Bezalel Smotrich a une vision maximaliste de la terre
Smotrich has a radical vision for the promised land.
promise. Elle inclut les territoires palestiniens, mais aussi des territoires
It includes Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Iraq. Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Iraq. Is the Queen of Jordan going to say anything about this? Because we all know Jordan is just another puppet of the United States government. Is she going to say anything about this? It's not just Smotrich either. Yes, he's a part of Netanyahu's administration. He's not alone. He's not alone. This is what they want. So where is the Queen of Jordan? Where's her pushback for this? So when the State Department told you that that was all they wanted and there is no other goal, they are lying to you. If I've seen these videos, I'm pretty sure they've seen these videos. They are all in on it. Does everybody understand? They're all in on it. These people have been lying to you, and they've been lying to you for a long time. And that includes the Biden administration, and that includes the Trump administration. They're all in on it. They all know that Israel wants the rest of the land. And that's what this is really about.
en Jordanie, en Syrie, au Liban, en Irak, en Égypte ou encore en Arabie Saoudite.
Even in Saudi Arabia. So you see how it's spreading here? Okay. Now, Saudi Arabia, you guys have been kind of quiet. I think you're trying to be like Switzerland or whatever in this piece. You need to start speaking up. You really need to start speaking up, because the reality is this, boo. I know you guys are a part of BRICS with Russia now, but you're also supposed to be an ally with the United States or whatever. And you guys need to speak up, because the reality is there's going to come a time, if this is not stopped, there will come a time when they'll come after your land too. This is the vision. And I've told people this before. And of course, part of Egypt. So what does that tell you? When they were trying to force the Palestinians into Egypt in Gaza, and they're in the southern part of Gaza, and they're trying to push them in and put that pressure on Egypt, open up your borders and take them so we can take over the land in Gaza, that wasn't going to matter anyway, because they still want part of Egypt.
Une vision certes radicale, mais admise dans le débat public en Israël.
Yes, an extremist vision. And that is the government that is in power. So they have been very open about what they want. It's not like they're hiding it. FM says, facts, Sabby. That's why I don't know why Egypt is not concerned. I don't know why either. Egypt is also a puppet of the U.S., another one. But they've been very, very vocal about what they want. And now Netanyahu is threatening the civilians in Lebanon. Such a mess.